Building relationships is definitely an art. I've had the privilege over the years of serving in various roles where I was a community engagement director and even directed a mentoring program reaching at risk youth. I recruited, screened, trained, and paired mentors to serve by building relationships with kids in tough places. Their role was to simply show up and be a non anxious presence and a trusted adult who believes in the best of and for the youth they would be mentoring by being faithful and a good listener without judgment. Most of the mentoring relationships lasted the entire school year with hopes to continue into the next, although the goal was a minimum of 3 months, as that is the national standard for a mentoring relationship to be effective and result in lasting impact in the youth's life. However, one particular match had the mentor thinking maybe another mentor would be a better fit, yet he remained faithful. He had scheduled a time and a place to meet with the mentee and even brought him lunch to share since it was his lunch work hour. He patiently sat and waited for the hour was up and he had to head back to work. The following week he did the same after reminding the youth the time and day of the week and again waited patiently, only to have the youth show up the last 5 minutes where the mentor kindly welcomed him and did his best to engage those last 5 minutes before having to leave, but not before reminding the youth that his lunch hour is limited, so he hopes they can have more time the following week, the same time. This went on for months, where each time the youth came earlier and earlier, eventually he would be arriving way before the mentor. The relationship did not involve expensive outings or gifts, just a faithful, consistent lunch building relationship. The mentor stayed in the youth's life through graduation, at which point the mentee thanked him for his patience and faithfulness to believe the best for him. He shared how he had been so hurt and let down by so many people that the first several meetings he watched him from afar, expecting him to get angry and leave, but he didn't. He even expected attitude when he finally showed up, but he was only received warmly and patiently. The youth's observation of the mentor led him to believe he could be open to trust him. According to PACE 2016, feelings of trust tend to be built in small moments, such as when we show up for each other, listen when others are upset, and when we prioritize our important relationships over other people and things. This was evident in this mentoring relationship. While the heavy lifting was first carried by the mentor, the mentee took ownership of doing his part as well, benefiting the mentee in aiding his success, much like a student-teacher relationship. Researchers make a distinction between student-teacher rapport and student-teacher trust in that being approachable doesn't necessarily equate to trustworthiness, although good rapport has its advantages to 2023. However, a teacher can gain student trust by being flexible in assignment deadlines, acknowledging the anxiety that some students may feel, exhibit vulnerability and shortcomings, and transparency in learning expectations, while creating safe environments of belonging and respect. 2023. Sounds easy, but how does a teacher begin to build rapport in order to know their students well enough to develop trust? As an aspiring sociology professor, I hope to incorporate early assignments where student individual beliefs, norms, and values get to emerge as together we discover the things that have influenced their behavior, attitude, identities, and experiences, so that I can acknowledge authentically their feelings while collaboratively develop a community of mutual respect and vulnerability. This will assist me in being informed on the adult learner's needs and interests. I understand that this will naturally surface viewpoints that may differ from my own, especially when it entails my Christian worldview. So it's paramount that I do not break trust by proselytizing my own beliefs and values in devaluing another's. My teaching approach will support culture and diversity within the classroom by exhibiting the love, compassion, and patience of Christ, while I acknowledge students' views, beliefs, and values and focusing on the ways that we are similar, especially in our desire to be a better society. My Christian worldview should never be a cause of breaking trust or marginalize anyone, but should always be a compass on how Christ would want me to act. Culturally responsive teaching should be relevant, incorporating knowledge about learners in the approach used to teach the curriculum, Quack 2020, allowing students to express themselves, reflecting their values, beliefs, enriches the learning experience for all, and fosters a community that chooses to be curious of others without judgment of differences.